another episode of At the Closing Table. I have my clients here.
My name is Mitchell Sirota.
I'm Leela.
Awesome. And they're closing on their first house purchase today.
Woo.
Congratulations. And I want to hear from your point of view, because this was a co-op purchase. How was that process?
Yeah, it was definitely a different type of process. You know, co-ops are notorious in the New York area, but obviously a little bit more rare here in Boston. Thankfully, Leo's parents have had a good experience with co-ops, and so they helped walk us through what the process looked like with more of a share ownership rather than, owning the actual property.
Yeah, and Alan was also very helpful in making the process go smoothly.
What were the pros and cons in your eyes of taking on the co-op?
Well, in the Alston area, which definitely has a big undergrad population and a lot of rental units, we liked the idea that in a co-op they were able to say that rentals aren't allowed, so that the building stays a little bit quieter and there's more of a community feel to it. But of course, there's a little bit less, control over your unit and the changes you can make and things of that nature. So some pros and cons there.
Yeah, definitely. I think I echo that same sentiment there. I think for me it was more I loved the property, and so I was willing to, if it was a co-op versus, if it was an apartment, I would have been fine with whatever it was. It was more of the property I fell in love with.
If we factor in the co-op and we looked at similar properties, even on that same street, this was actually priced a little bit lower. So you guys got a lot more, because I think there's less buyers for co-op because it's much different from a regular purchase. But if you guys understand it, which, I think you guys were the perfect buyers, having come from New York and understood the co-op setup, you were able to capitalize on that.
Definitely.
I agree.
Another thing to add on to about co-ops, we need special financing. So we went over to First Republic. I have a really good friend over there, Michelle. How was she in this process?
Yeah, Michelle was great. Her and Anthony, who I worked with at First Republic, they basically made everything really easy. They filled everything out, sent it over to me. I just signed it, got everything moved over, and then the follow-up from them was incredibly helpful as well. I didn't feel like I was too rushed or stressed with anything. They were always helpful.
Justin, an attorney that was experienced in dealing with co-ops. So how was Justin and his team over at Dalton and Feingold?
Very, very helpful. I sent lots of texts and questions, and he was very understanding and happy to answer anything.
Awesome. I think the whole team kind of came together when you guys needed this closing pushed up earlier. Yeah. And in most cases, with condos, banks, and then now you throw in the co-op aspect of it, 30 days was the original goal, and I thought that was pushing it. So when you're like, hey, let's do this in 3 weeks instead, I'm like, all right, I like a challenge. And here we are. We're at the closing table early, and we got it all done. So kudos to everyone that was involved.
Yeah, thank you, Alan, as well, for guiding that process.
Yeah, not only just being the agent, but, basically that real estate quarterback. You always got us to the right person for the questions we needed answered.
Nice. And I guess the last question for you guys is, why would you recommend me?
Well, you are extremely knowledgeable and responsive. You clearly have a lot of relevant experience for lots of different types of residences. You answered my questions on the pros and cons of co-op versus other types of places that you can buy, and just all over a great person to work with.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I'll also add, the level of professional that was there. It was everything you would expect from an agent, and I did very much admire the suits you wore as well. I thought they were very nice.
Hey, no, I'm glad you guys trusted me from the get-go, because I remember the first time you guys met me, I was still like, was that in a boot?
Yes. Yeah, we were both
crippled. We definitely related on that aspect. Yep. So yeah, I'm glad you guys trusted me, and we're at the closing table. Congrats, guys.
Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing this.